Hey everyone, this is Sin and welcome back to my channel, Stampin' Munchkins. Today I am part of a hop to celebrate two of my best friends in YouTube and crafty, wonderful people. They are Cathy Arenzana and Marla Harris from Mad About Cards and Crafts. We are using the hashtag grateful41k. And if you click on the hashtag in my description and also in my title, it will show everyone who is hopping along. There are giveaways and all the information will be in my description. So click on show more to get all the information you need. Good luck to all of you. And these are the two cards we're making today. Let's get started. These are the items I'm using and they're all from Altenew. They are one of my favorite companies. So these are the ink pads I'm using. They're mini ink cubes and I really love them. They are crisp dye inks, so they're dye based and they will soak into your paper and it becomes nice and smooth. These are the stamps and dies I'm using. Nina Classic Crest Solar White in 80 pound and 110 pound. I'm not using the VersaFine Clear, so you could ignore that. I'm using Versamark and the white embossing powder. I'm cutting the 80 pound cardstock into two 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I will be embossing that using Versamark and this mosaic background stamp from Altenew. I will be using this Versamark and a creative corner to make sure that I have my paper centered. And I realized that it was a little off, so I made sure that I put it back in. And the tip of the creative corner is on the 3-inch mark. So I know if I need to restamp it, where I need to do it again. So stamping with Versamark, which is a clear embossing ink pad. And I'll be using my alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe and heating and melting the powder using my Wagner dual heat gun. If you have a second, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. I just showed the embossing and now I'm doing the layering flower and I'm looking at the guide, and I will also look the guide booklet and also will look at the index so that I could see where it should be placed. I'm using the two of the yellow and orange ink pad sets, and I'm going to be doing two different color of the images. So I'll have one yellow brown large and one yellow brown small and one orangish small and one orangish large flower. So the large flower has 4 layers and the smaller flower has 3 layers. It just started pouring here, so I hope it doesn't bother you too much and you can't hear it. So right there I used my index to see where it should go, and I was going to do it on here, but it was so hard to see through as that first layer of ink was so light. I decided to put it on the top. So you can see that I have the smaller on the top. And this was fairly easy to line up. And I'm using a Swiffer cloth, and I learned that from Cathy Zilski, so that it is easy to push onto your MISTI. And you can use you can stamp without using a MISTI, but I prefer to use a MISTI as it makes it foolproof. So now I'm doing the next layer, and as you can see in the layering guide, it tells you like what how light and dark your inks should be for each layer. So a rule of thumb is the more solid your image is, the lighter your ink color is. And so the first one that I used was the lightest because as it was the most solid. So now you can see that I'm using different ink colors, and Altenew sells the mini ink cubes in sets of 4 from light to darkest, and I'm just using that as a guide. And I thought I would mess it up because I'm doing 2 different color ways, but surprisingly I didn't. So I'm happy about that. And now I'm using the green. Everything will be listed below as always, and with easy shopping links for you to shop. But I'm using the green for the stamens. So lighter green and a darker green. And now I'm doing the last layer for the biggest flower. This is the 4th layer. So this will be the darkest color. And if you noticed, I conditioned every single stamp because I've never used this before. So it comes with a little, all new stamps, photopolymer stamps have a coating on it due to the manufacturing process. So if you rub your hand or a white eraser or a cloth, you kind of roughen it up and it will take that coating off and it will take inking a lot easier. Now I'm using my Gemini Junior to die cut my images out using the coordinating dies. And this one did not, I kind of messed it up, as you could see the big white edge. So what you can do is put it back and just do it again. And it works out. You'll see when I bring it back that it has a closer cut and it doesn't mess up the other side. So here you go, you can see it. So that's an easy fix and a tip for you. So now I wanted to get a little green. So I'm using the Altenew and the Tim Holtz ink blending to get some color onto my white embossed background. And the white embossing will resist it, so you can see the mosaic pattern. And this one was too light, so I went back and I just deepened it up a bit. And the flowers will sit right on top, just like that. And I'm using my favorite waffle flower A2 layers, using the 3rd from the 3rd largest to cut out my panel. And I'm doing the exact same thing to both. I'm doing 2 cards because I'm going to be sending one to each of them, one to Cathy and one to Marla. And this the theme of this is supposed to be thankful and grateful, but they are I am so thankful and grateful to have met them, and they're just wonderful and I just adore them to death. So I used foam tape to pop up the flowers, and now I'm using this green, what is it called, Gina K Jelly Bean Green cardstock, and I'm using the A2 layers in the alternate, so it's just an 1/8 inch bigger, and I cut those out of the 3rd largest. And now I'm going to be, I cut out the sentiment, cut them apart, as I didn't want them, I wanted to do it separate. So don't be scared, I can still use it as one image as needed. So you saw me cut that apart. And I'm doing the Versamark and white embossing powder again for the sentiments, and I'll be cutting this out later into strips. And now I'm doing the other one, which says My Life. The first one was You Bring Joy To. And same thing, Versamark and white embossing powder. And it'll be heated up again with my same tool gun, heat gun. And here we go, I'm using my Swiffer cloth to get rid of all the powder, and I'm using my Simon Says Stamps sentiment banner dies to cut everything out, and I just used my Gina K runner, glue runner, tape runner to put my panel onto the green panel. And you see that slight, I love that little 1/8 inch. And now I'm using my Zig 2-way glue gun, as this is really skinny, and I'm using the tape runner for the bigger, thicker. And I added some white cardstock to the back to give it some dimension instead of foam tape to the sentiment strips. And now I'm making my card base with Nina 110 pound Classic Crest Solar White. And I'll be adding these panels onto that using my Gina K tape runner again. And it has a nice white border around it. So one is a side opening and one is a top opening card. And I'll be adding some satin white sequins, which is from Altenew, and using my matte, multi-matte medium glue from Ranger, and my Marvy jewel picker, just scattering some around. And I'll just be adding that, like I said again, using my multi-matte medium matte glue. And because it dries matte, I had some over because it was a new bottle. It came out quite quickly, but you won't be able to see it because it does glue, sorry, it does dry matte. So this is the finishing touches. I hope you enjoy my finished card. Here's some still pictures of them. You can see the two different colorways. Even though they're very similar, it's slightly different. And I hope you enjoy this. And Marla and Cathy, I love you both dearly. And again, I am so thankful and grateful to have you in my life. Here's a video you might like, and a card making playlist. And as always, click on my face to subscribe. Thanks everyone. Aloha.